Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host, Jum. And for this week, we're not releasing 3 movies. As usual, we're releasing 2. And that's in celebration of Barbenheimer weekend. We're doing the Heimer part first of Barbenheimer.
Yeah, I know we're a little bit late, but we just gave all y'all a chance to watch the 2 movies first.
Yeah, the 2 mega blockbusters of this year actually. Since I don't know if there's going to be any other blockbusters this big this year because of the writer strikes and actor strikes because studios refuse to pay their actors and writers for some reason.
It's very weird, bro. Why would you do that?
Right?
Main workforce, you're like, hey, let's not feed them.
Right? Anyway, before we get to that, again, it's pointless to ask you, of all people, were you excited for Oppenheimer?
Yes, very much so. Yes, I was. I mean, come on, look at the hype when it came to like making the trailer and all of it. Yes, I get it. It was started as a joke to combine the 2 very polar opposite movies.
Yeah.
Still kind of in one theme, which is existential crisis.
Yes.
But other than that, like, we were all kind of hyped for Oppenheimer, knowing the fact that, like, oh, this is one of the biggest movies that Christopher Nolan is going to be doing. The fucking IMAX film is going to be, what was it, like, God knows how many miles long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. I don't know what that means, but okay, that sounds great. Like, okay, I'm not a film guy, I'm sorry, but, like, from what I heard, like, IMAX films are, like, this huge or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also very excited, not only because I'm a Christopher Nolan guy, also because I'm sort of a history buff, so him doing this movie, I was like, oh, cool. A movie about Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, and starring my favorite Peaky Blinder, Thomas Shelby, Cillian Murphy.
Yes, sir. And, like, I mean, for me, like, Oppenheimer's kind of a big deal since he was pretty much the main theme when it came to Jurassic Park.
Yeah. And, like, I'm sure a lot of people got to see their favorites here because it is one hell of a cast. You got Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Josh Peck, Jack Wade from The Boys. The main lead of Hereditary is here for a bit.
Just for a bit.
Rami Malek.
For a bit.
Alden Ehrenreich. For more than a bit.
For more than a bit, yeah.
Casey Affleck's here.
Casey Affleck's here. Being the most intimidating motherfucker for like, what, 10 seconds?
Yeah. Jason Clarke's also here. The guy from the Planet of the Apes movies and Zero Dark 30. Like, a lot of people are here. Like, I'm sure you're one of your favorites here. Josh Hartnett from Pearl Harbor's here. Like, I haven't seen you in a hot minute.
I didn't recognize him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, this like emo hairstyle, I was like, oh, daddy.
Right.
No, but did you notice Roderick from
Roderick Rules?
He was here as well.
Yeah. Like,
like, all he did was like he just passed paper and that was it.
That's about it. Like, this isn't just the formation of the Manhattan Project and the dropping of the atomic bomb. This is literally almost all of Robert Oppenheimer's life, from like his early days in university to the outcome of what his work is, and like post World War II.
My God, just imagine, in his early life, he almost poisoned the man with cyanide.
Yeah, which actually isn't true according to a lot of people. So, I guess I don't know why they put this in the movie. The strangest thing.
Weird choice of writing, but okay.
But you see his other idol, Niels Bohr, who's played by Kenneth Branagh, and him and the other scientists of Germany, including Heisenberg, inspire him to learn more about his field of quantum physics and bring it to America, which apparently there is no such division in America. So Oppenheimer is responsible for bringing quantum physics to the United States. And that's where we also meet people like Gene Tatlock and Oppenheimer's brother, who are all members of the Communist Party, including Kitty Oppenheimer.
Man, on one side of the spectrum, he's in the fucking fascist party and the fucking Peaky Blinder show, and now he's in the communist party.
Yeah, right?
in Oppenheimer. Like, ooh, man's on both sides now, huh?
Hey, exactly. Thomas Shelby playing both sides. But yeah,
Well, actually, he's a socialist, as Tommy showed. Okay, anyway, not talking about Peaky Blinders.
yeah. But it is cool seeing all these actors you like and all the characters to play. Like, you get the sense that Kitty Oppenheimer is a very strong-minded woman, even though she has questionable things like ignoring her baby and being almost an alcoholic. And you're like, oh, okay, you're kind of a little you are shit.
Yeah, and just imagine the style. I'm sorry, I can't get over the style. I don't know if people really dressed like this back in the 30s,
Right?
but damn, they would ride horses when there was no towns yet, and then they would look great
Yeah,
while doing it. I'm like, shit, Cillian Murphy is great.
right, exactly. I like how there's like a prelude to like what Oppenheimer becomes when he's with Jane Tatlock. She gives him this holy book, and she's like, "Can you translate this? Can you say what it says?" And he's like, I have become dead." Like, oh, okay, cool.
I was like, I really hope that was the how he got that saying for him, or unless he just read it casually without a hot girl on top of him.
Sure, but like you see also his political side. Like he helps form unions. He devotes time and like helps out the other side of the Spanish Civil War, even though the professors are like, "Hey, there's no politics here, man." And eventually, the guy, Josh Hartnett's character, is like, "The reason why I can't bring you into the program, then, man, is because people think you're a communist." And Oppenheimer's like, "I'm not. What's the program?" He's like, "Oh, we're developing a weapon because there's very alarming reports since World War II has started that Nazi Germany is building a bomb." And they're like, "We can't have that."
And fuck, I just remember, what was the one line that one of his lead scientists said, where you are important. Well, which line was that again?
I forget, but like Oppenheimer is the man to bring all the scientists together to stop Nazi Germany, because he's like, well, there's a moment when he's like, "I know you guys are hesitant on using this bomb, but Nazi Germany won't be hesitant in using the bomb. That's the problem. And I know what it's like if Nazi Germany has a bomb. It's a very big problem." It's cool seeing Matt Damon play a character who's so, I don't know I'll describe him, blunt. Like, he doesn't give a shit about anything.
I can't tell if he's lawfully good. Was he a good guy? I feel like Oppenheimer is that movie of it is great.
Yeah, I would say at least by the end, General Groves has respect for Oppenheimer. Like, they have mutual respect for each other. Like, towards the end during the hearings, he tries to save face of no, I wouldn't allow him the security pass, but I wouldn't allow anyone else, to be fair.
Yeah. And I don't know, we kind of skipped over the fact that at the start of this movie, it gives us 3 branches of time.
Yeah.
So one in black and white, which I am guessing is the present.
Yeah.
The other one's in color, which is, I'm guessing, past?
I think I read somewhere that said that the color parts are subjective and the black and white parts are supposed to be objective to what happened.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I forgot. It's in Robert Downey Jr.'s character's eyes when it's in black and white.
Yeah.
But when it's in color, it's in Oppenheimer's point of view.
Yeah. Or
right.
black and white is this is what is recorded in history. And the color parts are we don't really know how it went down.
Okay. So it's just weird because as you watch through the movie, you're kind of which one's the past, which one's the present? Of course, it's kind of obvious when they cut to young Oppenheimer. You could tell that, they're telling the past.
Yeah.
And it cuts to the black and white when you see an older Oppenheimer with lesser hair telling the future. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But then it would all,
merge.
In the middle of the movie, it'll start to merge and hit as one once we get the courtroom scene. So I would say it's a little confusing if you're not paying attention. But if you are, you will still be lost, but until somebody explains it to you, like, oh, this is the point of view of this person and that person. I'm like, oh, cool. You know, then you could rewatch it and be like, oh, you'll appreciate it a little bit.
Yeah, like the non-chronological stance that Christopher Nolan really defaults to from time to time is something I really like, especially with telling the tale of Oppenheimer. But I do like the mega cameos or mega guest stars when he's assembling people, and you're like, that's Huey from The Boys, and that's Josh Beck. What the hell?
Yeah, Josh Beck's the one who pressed the button.
Yeah. It's also cool. The guy who's always asking for like a hydrogen bomb is one half of the directors of Uncut Gems, Benny Sadfi. Like, oh, cool. You're here and you're also giving me a panic attack with your questions.
Chill, please.
Yeah.
God, I don't know what the question is.
Though seeing Josh Beck's like, I don't know if that's like makeup or if that's how he looks now, but I was like, God damn, I'm old.
No, I've seen a couple of interviews and like podcasts that Josh Beck does look very haggard as of recent. Like it looks good, kind of haggard, like Mountain Man kind of haggard.
Yeah,
and he looks fine. But yes, he does look older now. Even though, no shit, no, he's really old. I forgot. Man, I don't like being old. I don't like dwelling on my immortality.
I mean, speaking of which, it is a race for mortality of the world, since they are racing against, you know, what they perceive as the ultimate evil in Nazi Germany. And I do like them assembling the Manhattan Project town. Like, from what I've saw, this is like an actual set. Like, they built this out of nowhere in like a natural place. This is not like green screen. And you get the sense, like, if you've seen pictures of the actual town back in the 40s, Rick, it's like almost 1-to-1, Rick. God damn, they did do their research.
Yeah, they did do their homework, and I'm a little bit at a loss for words here. No, because there's so much shit that goes on, man.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing how Christopher Nolan kind of just made this entire movie. We know the outcome.
Yeah.
we know history. This is not just a bomb that he made. This is the bomb that can end the fucking world if somebody just gets a little too petty.
It's a very interesting thought that they bring up. Like, that's why he has to go to Einstein to be like, can you please check these calculations?
Just to be sure. Like, when Einstein would just go, yeah, look, there's a huge possibility that one atom can hit another atom and continuously have a chain reaction to a point where if you just blow this thing up, it would continue blowing up.
Yeah. Did you recognize Einstein's actor?
No.
He's the doctor who put Batman's back in place in Dark Knight Rises.
A man of like a lot of words of wisdom.
Yeah. And
like,
now,
don't make the fucking bomb.
And now he is playing one of the smartest men of the 20th century, alongside another very smart man, the 20th century, who is always perceived as a communist because he keeps going to towns. Like, one time he checks on Jean Tatlock, which she's already a communist, and she's just asking him, like, can you please keep me company? But then he goes to another part of town to check on someone else, and that's where we get Casey Affleck's cameo, and you're just like, you're terrifying.
Actually, he didn't even do anything terrifying.
He just talked. He just looks intimidating.
And Casey Affleck does not look like Casey Affleck at all.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, like, we always, like, portrayed him as, no offense, if you're watching this Casey Affleck, hi, we're the Geeks and Degenerates. Like, we'd always picture him as Ben Affleck's younger brother. He would be that smaller version of Ben Affleck in Ocean's 13.
Yeah.
And when you see him here, I'm like, he's oddly calm and nice. When you hear another person introducing him as, this guy is really fucked up and would gladly drown you, like, put you in the middle of a lake and drown you.
Yeah.
For answers. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. Are you allowed to do that in the military? Well, I mean, it's World War II, so you would have records. There's no cameras anywhere. Nobody has a phone.
Yeah.
So, yes, he could have.
Yeah, and also in this way is, in Oppenheimer's way is, what's his name? Dane DeHaan. Like, if you've seen Dane DeHaan's character and, like, like side by side with the historical figure, you're like, that's one on one. It's like they look similar. Like Jesus Christ. Dane DeHaan's the guy who, yeah, he's the guy who refused to give Oppenheimer his security pass. He's the other. He's like the second command with Matt Damon.
Oh shit! Okay, the one played by Green Goblin kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Everybody was great here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just weird because like you would expect every side character to be the main character because they're played by people who play main characters.
Like every historical figure here can have their own like movie about them because they, like you said, they are the main character.
Spoilers for the after credits.
Yeah. But yeah, like we all know where this is heading towards. Like I do like the fact that after Nazi Germany surrenders, people are like, do we really need to do this? I know we got Niels Bohr out of Germany to help us, but we know Germany's fucking up with the atomic bomb. There's no need. And high command is like, yeah, but there's still Japan. They're like, do we really need to test it on Japan? And then Oppenheimer's mind is like, well, if we use the atomic bomb on the enemy, we'll never have to use it again because it will appall nations so badly that they'll be like, no, we won't do that.
If you want to know, like the real war deterrent. Sorry, what was it called again?
War deterrent.
Yeah, play Metal Gear Solid. You'll get a whole gist of that. But anyway, like I don't know why. I was like, I already know the outcome, right? We already know. But at the same time, we're kind of like, does he make the bomb? wait, what?
Yeah, I think
the entire time, that's how good Christopher Nolan was at directing. It's just like, a lot of times you'll be like, oh, does he make the bomb? I was like, wait a minute.
I mean, that's the job of the movie, even though you know the outcome. You're still like, I hope.
Yeah, you're so engrossed to the point where you're like, you kind of forgot that, oh shit, this already happened in real life.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that Oppenheimer's world is rocked because Jean Tatlock took her own life.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it. Like from a perspective, you're like, did she or did someone take hers?
I remember people saying that it was like, like there's a lot of theories that she could have taken her own life, or government.
Yeah.
Remember Casey Affleck?
Yeah, I mean that's where we get the shot of poor Oppenheimer just having the 1,000 yards stare, and like, it's funny that image became a meme.
Yeah,
and like that, and like
so
the end
real
shot.
though when you watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly. This and the end shot, you're like, oh, the memes suddenly become not funny anymore. They're suddenly too real.
It is.
Yeah.
And just a lot of times where, like we get to the point where they're like, okay, we made the bomb, we got it to work. There are a lot of moments where the hair behind your neck would stand up. Like, remember, they're like testing it out.
Yeah.
They're trying it out. It's raining, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta wait for it to dry." Again, I was still stuck at that. Do they make it? I'm like, yes, duh. And then they test it.
Yeah.
Then you just wait, and then all you see is just a flash
Of white light.
Yeah, and you see like a fireball forming. I always wondered, was like, how the fuck are they gonna film this? That's how.
Yeah.
It's a little lackluster compared to a CGI blast. Like, oh shit, here's the intensity, bang, big bright explosion at the distance. This felt more, I would say, personal.
Yeah. Like it was always building up to it. Like, it dawns in your mind too. It's like, oh god, that's the last thing people see before the thing blows up. Like, there's one guy near Oppenheimer who just like runs out to see it for himself. I was like, is he gonna die?
What? I was like, why? I was like, when that thing blows up, right? It's supposed to blind you. I don't know how this guy just went. like he just stuck his head out because he just wanted to see it in real life, like without the pane of glass that's protecting people.
I thought Huey would be pepper sprayed by the glass when
The glass?
yeah.
Because the Russian guy was like, it was glass deflects UV rays.
Yeah.
It was like, what's gonna deflect the glass?
I like the conversation of Matt, General Groves being like, I heard there's things that if we push the button, we destroy the world. And he's like, oh, well, it's near zero. And then the guy's like, near zero?
Near zero?
What do you want from theory alone? He's like, zero would be nice. It's like, all right.
that I don't know why that should make me laugh.
And then the wheels are in motion. Like, you see the conference with Oppenheimer of them. It's very chilling seeing the generals and Oppenheimer choose where to drop the atomic bomb. And they're like, oh, we can't drop it here. We need maximum impact to scare the Japanese. One, to show the Japanese what we can do. And then the second one to show if we can do it again. You're like, I don't want this history.
I had this conversation with someone. And they were like, have you ever... Because I was telling them this thing that happened, the whole Nagasaki and Hiroshima thing, was horrible. And they were like, oh, it's supposed to happen. Yes, it was. It was supposed to happen. But at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that it's horrible. And they were like, what if they were just aiming for a military base? And the exact same dialogue that I had with this person was in the movie where it's like, it's an atomic bomb. It's gonna go everywhere.
Right.
No matter how big the base is, it's gonna go everywhere. And even though you're far away from it, the clouds are gonna push whatever fucking toxins that's gonna come in.
Right. But yeah,
so,
it's a very haunting scene of just like you knowing the history and you're just like, I don't want it to play it the way they do. And then, like, you see both sides of them being like, we have to, because if we invade Japan, it will cost 1 million lives because the Japanese are not going to surrender at all for their homeland. And we're going to get 1 million casualties as well. So it's going to be, what, 5 million if we try to invade. So it's either that or we drop this bomb and see what happens. And then you know your history. You're like,
they just had to pick the lesser evil, and I hated that they had to cherry pick too. Where this guy was like, well, "I'm glad they didn't," but he was like, oh, "Let's not hit Kyoto. It's a beautiful place." Me and my wife went there for our anniversary.
good for you.
Like okay.
Like also before that, one day before picking the targets, they were talking about how effective the firebombing is of like Japanese cities, and you're like, just remember Grave of the Fireflies of like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like the bombs are rolling out of the Manhattan Project Town, Los Alamos, and like the very real conversation of like Oppenheimer being like telling Benny Sadfi like, oh, we're gonna bring peace. And then the guy goes like, yeah, until someone builds a bigger bomb. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, it becomes an arms race. Somebody's always going to build a bigger bomb knowing the fact that it's possible now. Hence, the whole Ian... What's his name again from Jurassic Park?
Ian Malcolm?
Ian Malcolm. The whole... We always tried to think whether if we could, never stop to think whether we should.
Right.
I butchered the line, but it's cooler. It was cooler in my head.
And then we get history plays out exactly how you expect it to. Like August 1945 is when they drop the bombs, and Oppenheimer gets news from general groups, and they have a celebration in the gymnasium where Oppenheimer's like, the world is now at peace. I just wish we dropped it at Nazi Germany, while he's having this panic attack, seeing what happens to the people that have the atomic bomb dropped on them.
Speaking of what goes through Oppenheimer said, I love how they represent anxiety, nervousness, a panic attack. Where earlier on it was just, I don't know what they used to film that, since they said they didn't use any CGI. The fucking like wavelength thing that's like, you know,
yeah.
You see sparkles. I really want to know how they filmed that shit. That would always like represent his anxiety, his way of like not being able to sleep, because that's in his head, seeing atoms clashing together and all that.
Yeah.
And then now here he has made it, and it's the most visually upsetting. Like it's a mixture of, oh, these people are happy, but you turn a 180 across the world. This could be the exact same image, just a different story.
Yeah, like
girl crying in the corner, knowing the fact that something horrible happened. On the other side, it's something amazing. We win the war.
The remains he steps on, that's not even crystallized. Like, what the fuck is that? Oh, fuck! I love the detail of like people are cheering and then you hear one woman just cry out in fear and pain. You're like, did I hear that right?
Yeah, the jump scare.
Yeah.
There were two main jump scares here. Like that jump scare in the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And then the blast itself, where you're like, wow. It's like, oh shit.
And then Oppenheimer is essentially a hero. Like he's accepted to like the Atomic Commission with Lewis Strauss, who's played by, of course, Robert Downey Jr. He even gets a meeting with the President Truman, who's played by Gary Oldman, which is funny. He's already played Winston Churchill, and now he's Harry Truman. All he needs to do is play Joseph Stalin, but I can't imagine how you do that, because that's a very...
I think he can do it.
I think he can do it, but...
It's a very controversial role, but...
Yeah, it's a very dark movie, too.
Hitler before.
Yes. My sister pointed out when Truman asked Oppenheimer, like, oh, what do you want to do with the Los Alamos? He's like, give him back to the Indians or Native Americans. And then he just has this face of, like, that ain't happening.
Yep. Yeah. Like, oh, it's ours now. And I'm like, I do love the character of Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Like, the guy himself. Right? He's like, I really didn't want to do anything bad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to help. Like, especially, like, whatever resources he used, he wanted to give it back. Especially the whole Los Alamos thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, give it back to the Indians. Sadly, the government's kind of shit. Where they're like, no. And here, he's kind of just like, I feel like I have blood in my hand.
Yeah.
No, the fact I'm the one who made the bomb. Matt Damon's correct, where he's like, hey, all we have to do is give them the ace and they're the ones going to be using that hand.
Yeah.
Still, if you're the one who made an amazing virus that eliminates all enemies, wouldn't you feel like you're the one responsible for killing those people?
Yeah, and that's why Oppenheimer spends the rest of his career trying to talk people off, like, let's not do this, let's not create atomic weapons anymore. Even though they're like, oh, Lewis Strauss is like, well, but we're in a race against the Russians now, we have to. What's next? And he's like, what's next? What do you mean, what's next?
Yeah, what were they making again? The H-bomb this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like around the conference they were like, that's fucking Papa from Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like you get the hearings of Oppenheimer and like this shitty like kangaroo court and like Strauss's trial with like proper representation, judges and lawyers. Even though Alden Ehrenreich's getting a sense of like, oh, this guy is full of shit.
Yeah. Even though that's his lawyer.
Yeah.
it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
This dude didn't do anything wrong, or he's just trying to help.
I like at the beginning you think like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. seems like a solid guy, even though Oppenheimer did embarrass him. And then like as the trial goes on, you're like, I don't think that's the case. And then he reveals like, no, I screwed him over, making him look like a communist, someone who's a traitor against his own country. And that's when you see Jason Clarke like grilling for Oppenheimer. You're like, poor guy.
Yeah. And then the effect of the nuclear bomb like happening.
Yeah.
Like as a background, I was like, that's so great.
Yeah, and then Oppenheimer just snaps, and you're like, oh, poor guy. And like, though the one person that stole the scene with like Jason Clarke in the courtroom is Emily Blunt. Yeah, where she just starts ripping the guy to shreds. Though at first you think like, for a woman who keeps telling Oppenheimer to fight back, she is like not fighting back against her own words. And then she starts like shitting on him, like, oh yeah, I was in the party 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. You're like, oh, she's just fucking with him. Cool.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, and everybody in the court, dude, everybody in the theater was like going ha with the Emily Blunt scene.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it serves you right for this stupid ass kangaroo court.
Yeah. And then like Lewis Strauss tried to explain to Alden Ehrenreich, because before that we get what's his face, Rami Malek's character, where before you're like, that's a shame they got Rami Malek to do a non-speaking role, and then he's here to just destroy Lewis Strauss. Like, oh jeez, like the scientists here believe that Mr. Strauss shouldn't be in the government because of these reasons, and you're like, oh, damn. And all then Ehrenreich has like this shit-eating grin of like, serves you right, you piece of shit. You're like, fuck.
I was like, man, whose side are you? I was really confused with that character. I was like, man, whose side are you on?
Yeah. And like both actors, Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy, almost simultaneously deliver like Oscar-worthy performances when Strauss is like saying like, this is what Oppenheimer wanted. I am the good guy. It's always about this. He embarrassed me. How dare he? And then Oppenheimer just losing it. You're like, fuck. I'm just,
Yeah, like I love how Oppenheimer's kind of just like staying in his own lane.
Yeah.
He never really fought back with Strauss.
Yeah.
Like the entire movie, he's not fighting back. He's just telling the truth.
Yeah.
And you just see Strauss just like pulling every string that he has just to make sure this guy goes down.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, the reason why he's doing it was the most pettiest shit ever.
It's like, I decided someone to talk to me because of him. And then Alden Ehren's like, maybe for once in your life, it's not about you, you fucking idiot.
Exactly. This guy was so narcissistic.
And like, if you're listening closely, it's like, oh, the senators voted for you not to continue positions. He's like, well, which senator decided to vote? He's like, oh, there's a small senator named Kennedy. You're like, ah, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I like
Good man, Kennedy.
I love the acting of both actors when like Strauss exits the room with like the photographers and he just gives like this fake ass smile of like, we're still friends.
Yeah. When they clearly had like the biggest fight. I was like, alright.
Right. Though Alden Ehrenreich's happier because he's like, you don't have a job, you bastard. You're like, oh, cool.
Yeah. This man put every dime into this lawsuit.
Yeah.
Just to get into office, but it's like, nah.
You're
or just get into cabinet.
Yeah. To have a political career, but he's like, nah, your career's done. And then Oppenheimer is cleared of the charges, but he doesn't have his security is like revoked. He can't go around anymore speaking on behalf of the government of like, let's not do nuclear weapons anymore. And then you finally get the reveal of what Einstein and Oppenheimer said to each other of like, Einstein's like, you're gonna be me now. They're gonna serve you medals and potato salad and salmon, and you're gonna be the receiver of your consequences. And you see like years down the road, like President Johnson's giving him a medal. Like all the scientists are like, it's all right, man, it's not your fault. But they're not saying that to comfort him. They're saying that to comfort themselves. That one guy.
The Russian guy.
Yeah.
Where, Emily Blunt's character is just like.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck. And I love the line that delivered from Einstein where he's just like, they'll say that they'll say they're sorries or some shit like that. Forgot. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, we forgive you, but they're the ones who were asking for forgiveness from you.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, it's so. I don't know why it was so sad to see frail Oppenheimer just like carrying this like little plaque.
Yeah.
Well, saying that, hey, you did a good job. Thank you for your service. And it's just like, I went through hell.
Yeah. And then Oppenheimer's like, when I came to you with these calculations years ago, we thought we would start a chain reaction which would destroy the entire world. And Einstein's like, yeah, what happened? He's like, I believe we did. And then you see our present.
It's very, dude. The hair stood like the back of my neck just stood up. And I was like, "Fuck, he's right." Like, sure, we're not using it. It's not happening, but it can happen.
Yeah, I love.
Hey, Russia has a fucking bomb called Satan 1 or something like that.
Yeah,
and if that thing detonates, it does the thing that Einstein said would do.
It's a very haunting ending, and you're like, it's gonna stick with me for a while. It's gonna stick with me forever. It's gonna take another movie, a happier, lighter movie, to cleanse this palate, because Jesus Christ, it stuck with me for like, it's still sticking with me. Because every time I see the image of Oppenheimer just staring into that lake, I'm like,
Yeah, you look so weird. It's like, everybody in the theater was like literally me. Yeah, I was about to ask you. Oh shit, did a bomb go?
No, little spider here dropped.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of lighting, because dude.
Yeah, I know.
You're hiding in the darkness.
You're like, goddamn it, weather.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be that dark around this time, but it's a kind of coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird because as I got out of the theater, and I was like, okay, that was a really good movie. I had to go to like the bathroom, and I compared the girls coming out of the bathroom. They're all like, "Oh, that was a good movie." Cillian Murphy's not. Yeah, they're all like, "Okay." And then you go to the guys' side of the bathroom, and they all look like they're the ones who made the bomb. They all had like that 1,000-yard stare.
My sister had like a story of like her friend was in the bathroom, and then she heard one guy be like, her friend heard one guy be like, "Oh, that was such a good movie. I hope there's a sequel." We're like, "Yeah, sequels are present."
No. Please don't let there be a sequel. Somebody makes the best bomb. No, please. And then, like, was it true? I don't know if it was true. When somebody, like, had a video of, like, after credits of, like, somebody leaving a piece of paper and said E equals MC squared.
I didn't see the after credits. I didn't want to say for
I didn't know there was going to be after credits.
Maybe they're setting up
like, Einstein will return.
Definitely not.
Is that real?
No, definitely not.
In the comments, please tell me if that was real.
They're not setting up the 20th century scientist universe.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
love that.
True.
I would love that.
I'm surprised Einstein hasn't gotten his own movie at this point, to be honest. But yeah, what would you rate Oppenheimer?
Man, I think we didn't have any gripe with this movie at all throughout this entire review. And like, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10, man. I really suggest people would watch this. And this is not the type of movie where I'm like, I'm glad I watched it. Well, never touch it. I will watch this movie again.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure. Once it hit the courtroom scene, it did drag out. But if you just stay a little bit focused through it, you're kind of like, shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad I stayed through it as it, the climax came along. The build up to the bomb was fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, these are the best the best of the best minds that we got on Earth working together to make something that we will regret one day, which hopefully we could learn a lesson from. Sometimes we don't know. And I don't know, it paints a picture, right? Like, I really hope that the world kind of takes a little bit from this movie and just be like, you know what? Maybe we don't have to do it. You know? We don't, there could be another option. But, through this was great development when it came to science. We got nuclear reactors, we got nuclear power, which probably served a shit ton of people, so who knows?
Yeah. There's always like positive and negative consequences, but like I would feel like the negative consequences far outweigh positivity.
I agree. Somebody who I know tried to like justify, oh, if it wasn't for nuclear bombs, we would we wouldn't have like nuclear power. But I was like, yeah, but if it wasn't for that, not every country would be pointing a gun at each other and saying like, hey, back up.
I will also give this a 10 out of 10. Like, there really are no gripes. Like, the fact that this movie, like, it just shows the power of Christopher Nolan to just make a movie where essentially it's just, talking and scientific equations and scientific theories for like almost 3 hours and have it to become one of the most successful movies of this year. It's making like $1 bajillion. Like, I think it's like made like 400 million by this point.
I don't think that's enough.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more. I don't know.
I think I read somewhere just crossed it today, and like it's continuing to make like above that. Which again, I don't understand if that's the case. Why don't studios pay their writers and actors?
I feel so bad for Avatar. Because they were like, oh, this is the movie of the year. And then Oppenheimer comes along. Like, hold my hat.
So I'm hoping what the studios learn is that if you want more successful movies like this, you fucking pay your actors and writers. Because Jesus Christ.
Very true.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, damn. It's a very good movie. You know what? I would say, for me at least, it's Christopher Nolan's best movie.
Ah.
I think it's a culmination of like everything he's learned from like Inception, Tenet, The Prestige, The Dark Knight movies, and everything in between.
I kind of have to assume this is probably Nolan's best movie of all time. Like, I like The Dark Knight. I love Tenet. But nothing blew up like Oppenheimer.
But is there any figure from history that you would like to see have their own biopic?
Oh yeah, Napoleon. We're getting it!
Yes. If we're going Napoleon, I would say Julius Caesar.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I am falling in love with almost every like historical biopic. Well, some, but like we got Henry Luna, we got the whole Kessels game. I really hope we get to like see Bonifacio, like a movie about Bonifacio. There's just a message to the Filipino filmmakers out there. A foreign studio who wants to take it up, go nuts.
Yeah.
Just stick to the source material.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see more biopics of like our historical figures.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like we need more of those.
Yeah. Like a Rizal movie would be pretty good. I can't think of anything else.
That would do great as, again, like somewhat like this. It's all just politics, talking, but at the same time you're so engaged.
Yeah, it's also like a kind of polarizing figure too, because like I know you side with Bonifacio more than Rizal in terms of like the Filipino Revolution.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I don't like to share. Sorry. I don't know if I'm gonna get red tag.
That's fine. Like, it's a lot of people feel that way, which is cool. Like, a movie like that, I don't know what we'll do here, but hopefully it's good. But yeah, that's been our video for Oppenheimer, the Heimer half of our week this week. So stay tuned for the first half of that.
The Barbin.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As I said, I'm Enzo. This is my forever co-host, John. If you want to see more of us, we're on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, and Spotify to hear us on the go. But please don't. If you like our material here, please don't forget to like our videos, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. Individually, you can find me at Gandalfus995 on Twitter. How about you?
Oh, you can find me at JohnGOM_ on Instagram. That is my account.
And until the next, well, you know what the next video is. Until then, we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.